Hey mama, if you're listening to this, you might be carrying a secret that feels too heavy to speak out loud. You look like you got it all together, you serve at church, maybe you even lead a Bible study. You smile when you drop off the kids, but no one sees the other side of you, the one that comes out behind closed doors. At home, you are a completely different person. You yell, you explode, you scream at your kids, sometimes in their face. You tell them to shut up. You grab them too harshly. You throw things across the room. You smack them in anger, twist their ears, spank them in rage, and immediately after, you are hit with a tidal wave of shame. You cry alone in your room and you whisper, "God, what is wrong with me?" You feel scared and disgusted by your own reactions. You're terrified that someone might find out. You wonder if your kids would be better off without you. You feel unworthy, broken, and too far gone to be redeemed. You try to fix this on your own. You listen to podcasts, parenting books, download freebies, but nothing changes. You keep falling back into the same patterns, and it feels like you are stuck in a cycle that you can't break. You don't trust yourself anymore, and if you're honest, you are afraid of who you've become. But here's the truth, Mama. You are not beyond hope. You're not alone, and with God's help and the right support, you can change. I'm Elizabeth, a mom of 4 and an anger management coach for Christian moms. And inside my Calm Christian Mom coaching program, I guide women just like you through a powerful transformation. This isn't shallow behavior management. We go deep. We address your triggers, your stress, your mindset, your nervous system, and the spiritual root behind your patterns. We invite God into every layer and walk hand in hand towards healing. In just 12 weeks, you can become a completely different mom, unrecognizable. One who leads with patience, not panic. One whose children feel emotionally safe around her. One who cultivates peace. This summer, I'm offering a Calm Mama strategy session, a powerful 15-minute one-on-one coaching session designed to help you uncover the root of your anger and receive spiritual, emotional, and practical support. It's your chance to experience what coaching is like with me before diving deeper into ongoing support. If we both feel like the full program is the next right step, we can talk about what that looks like for you. You don't have to keep living like this. Your family is worth healing, and so are you. Use the link in the show notes to book the Calm Mama strategy session. Hey friend, I wanted to share with you something exciting. I'm doing a flash sale for my birthday this month. So for the next few days, you can get one of my courses for half off. Normally it's $99. Right now it's $49. So you want to be more patient and calm with your kids, but you feel like it's so hard and you wake up reacting to your days. So much frustration on a daily basis. Listen, my course, Emotionally Healthy Mom, will teach you how to get to the root of your stress, how to control your controllable stressors. I will teach you how to prioritize your needs without guilt and show you how to calm your nervous system and communicate your emotions and needs in a healthy way. Let's make motherhood a place you enjoy living in and set a positive example for your kids and not a place of survival and dread. So come into Emotionally Healthy Mom course so I can show you how to ditch the overwhelm, burnout, and stress so you can become a patient and calm mama. Link is in the show notes to sign up. The flash sale ends on April 10th. Let's get into this episode. So I've been doing this since January, and about half of you enjoy listening to these episodes about like a monthly review behind the scenes into my life, because I have been off social media since January, mid-January, and I think it's kind of fun for you to kind of get behind the scenes into my life so you can get to know me a little bit more than just someone who coaches you. All right, so I first wanted to mention a few things that I've been loving lately. One of them is like a cloth swing for kids. It's like a sensory swing for kids that we put in our house, in our living room. And our kids absolutely love it. My boys just love that swing. I will link it in the show notes. We got it off Amazon. It was it was a Christmas gift for one of my boys from grandparents. And my kids absolutely love it. They go, into it after school. They just love that swing. And so I think if you have kids that just like to be upside down and twist and just have like this sensory input that just kind of like hugs them, I think they would really enjoy this swing. Another thing I've been loving lately, we got a round dining table. And so there's 6 of us sitting at the table, and I really enjoy family dinners, even though they can be really chaotic and crazy with boys and sometimes hectic because someone's not in a mood and complaining or whatever. But just the fact that we're sitting and eating dinner together at a round table and we can all see each other, I've been really enjoying that. Okay, so I started this thing years ago, and if you don't do this, don't feel bad. You can start doing this today. But I started it about 2 years ago when my daughter, I was pregnant with my daughter, and I got a journal for each of one of my kids. And every so often I journal in there. I tell them about kind of what their life is like right now, things they're enjoying, maybe words that they're saying, just something sweet and kind, maybe something funny they said or did. And I've been doing that with my kids for the last few years. And I think it's kind of like a really neat thing for them to go back and like read through. And when they get older, and even for me, just fun memories. I honestly have been doing it probably once every half a year, but my goal is to do it once a month, to just take 5 or 10 minutes to write something into each of my kids' journal and just encourage them, uplift them, remind them that I love them. Maybe something they've been doing, especially like my daughter right now. She is starting to talk and she's repeating words and just doing lots of cute things, and it's just fun to write it down. And sometimes my boys will do something silly, and it's just fun to write down for them. All right. I don't know about you, but if you have a toddler, I'm talking about like a young one, like 18 months old or 12 months to 24 months. Do they enjoy going into the bathroom and playing with the toilet water? So my youngest daughter, she absolutely loves going into the bathroom and playing with the toilet water. And the weird thing is she'll put her finger in there and she'll swirl it around and put it in her mouth. So it's gross. So every time we have to like lock the bathroom doors. And sometimes the boys forget to lock the door. And it's like she senses it and she will get in there. And sometimes my boys will go number 2 and forget to flush the toilet. And this happened a while back. So this didn't happen this month, but this happened a little while back. And she went in there and she took the toilet brush and she just smushed everything around, took the toilet brush out, and the drips of like poop. And it was so gross and nasty. And the kid that forgot to flush it just left to the store with my husband. So he couldn't even be helping out to clean it. It was just like, oh my goodness. So if you relate to this in any way, shape, or form, I'm sorry, this sucks. Toddlers do things like this. And it was just like in the heat of the moment, not fun, super frustrating. Outside of the moment, now as I'm talking about it, it sounds really funny, and I can laugh about it, but I get it. It's not fun. Okay. So what happened this month was that two of my boys were fighting over an iPad, and they were not listening when I asked them to give it back to me, and they started chasing each other around the house, and they dropped it, and they broke the screen. It had a screen protector on it, but I guess the drop was just bad enough that it just cracked the screen under the protector and it completely shattered it. And the protector and the screen And so I had to take it in to get it fixed because my oldest son has some homework assignments that he needs to use the iPad for. And I took it in, and it was $182 to get it fixed. So frustrating because now you have to fix it. Well, guess what I did? I did not pay for it. I had my kids pay for it. Thankfully, my kids had money that they saved up. Well, one of them had quite a bit of money saved up in an envelope. The other one only had $10. But the one that had more, and he was the older one that had the iPad and wouldn't give it to me, and instead was running away. As a consequence, instead of punishing them, I'm like, you know what? You didn't listen to me. You should have given me the iPad when I asked you to, and this is going to be the consequence. If your brother had more money in his envelope, we would use it, but since he doesn't, we're going to have to use your money to pay the rest of it. And it sucked because it was a huge chunk of money that he saved from his chores, that he saved from doing the lemonade stand. He saved for months, and it had to be used, and it sucks, but that's kind of like a consequence that I could think of in the heat of the moment. Though I can tell you, in the heat of the moment, I did not really handle it well. I got really triggered and frustrated. Obviously, when they were running around and not listening to me, then they screaming, and they dropped the iPad and broke it, and I was I lost my cool. I did raise my voice, and I did lecture my oldest son about it, the older one. So it was the middle and the youngest boy that were doing this, and I lectured him. And as I was doing that, in the middle of it, I'm like, I am not handling this well. I am not handling this well because my tone is just super agitated, which makes sense, right? And so I had to stop, and I caught myself. I was still not that dysregulated. I was able to catch myself and tell him, you know what? We'll talk about this later. I'm so frustrated right now. I need some space. We'll talk about this later. And, later the consequence that I could think of is for them to have to pay to repaint the screen, which I feel like is fair. Really sucks for them, but I felt like it was a fair thing. All right. So next thing is that my oldest son is now in 5th grade, and I felt like he's old enough for us to have, we've had conversations with him about sex. We've had conversations with him about pornography. Especially all the kids in his class have phones. They're not allowed to use it at school, but they talk about stuff that they see on their phones. And then I felt like he is going to be going to middle school next year, and he's going to be exposed to things. And even though it's a private Christian school, you just never know. And so I had a conversation with him about drugs, and what things can happen and what kind of drugs people use nowadays. And we role played what to do if somebody offers you drugs and the consequences of that. And that was not super comfortable. I tell you, it was a very uncomfortable conversation because I don't want to talk to my 11-year-old about this. Yet I feel like it needs to be done sooner than later because I don't want him to encounter it and not know how to handle it. I want him to have some tools, at least some sort of role playing that we did, and have some sort of confidence how to respond if anything ever gets offered to him. And so we've had that conversation with him, and he took it well. He seems to take conversations well like this. He asked a few questions. So I would encourage you that if your kid is listen, we had to have a sex conversation with him in 2nd grade. Why? Because kids in his school back in Minnesota were talking about sex in 2nd grade. So if your kids are in elementary school, maybe 2nd, 3rd grade, and 4th, I would encourage you to maybe consider having that conversation with them. Speaking of that, I ordered a couple books off Amazon. They're Christian books about teaching your kids about having sex conversations with them. And pornography ones. One is like called Good Pictures, Bad Pictures. That one is for kids that are like my older son's age, probably around 8 years old. And there's one for younger kids, Good Pictures, Bad Pictures Junior. And so it's like a guidebook that you walk your kids through and you read to them, and then there's pictures there and there's some questions that they ask them in there. And it's all about, them seeing pornography and how to handle it if they do actually come across it. And then there's another book that we used when there's one for about private parts, God Made All of Me. That one is really, really good as well. And then another one that we used when we taught our oldest son about sex. And it's called Before I Was Born. So I will link all of those below in the show notes because I think they are actually really helpful for you to walk through with your kids, because sometimes it's just uncomfortable. Honestly, I am pushing myself having these uncomfortable conversations, but it's not so easy to talk to your kids on these topics, especially if it wasn't really talked to you about it when you were young and when you were a kid. So it will feel uncomfortable, and these books make it a little bit less uncomfortable, yet it still feels a little bit awkward at first when you do it. But you know what? In the long run, what is more important? You being uncomfortable and like staying in your comfort zone, or having this important conversation with your kid, giving him tools and the skills and how to handle it, and also like him having him prepared for it, right? And just like knowing it's a real thing and having it not catch him off guard when he does encounter it. So I will link those books in the show notes because I think they are really great tools for parents to use with their kids when they're having conversations like that. All right, what else has been going on this month? We did our taxes. Tell you what, I think my husband would be completely lost without me when it comes to doing this. I think he would be pretty screwed because, man, it's so time consuming to put it all together and it's so complicated. I don't enjoy this aspect. Plus, like, my husband had his own business in Minnesota. Here, I have my business. So between the two states and, it was just such a hassle. It took me weeks to put it all together, get it all organized, getting it to the tax lady. It was just a lot. If you're like me, you probably avoid things like this to the very last minute just because it's overwhelming to think about it and it still needs to get done. So I see you. I feel you. It's not fun. All right. So one of the other things that keeps happening, it was ridiculous. I was just telling my husband, I'm like, why? Why is this happening to me? But it was that, I don't know if you can hear my neighbor mow the lawn. I'm so sorry. He's like right outside the window in front of me. And I apologize if it's making too much noise. The spring break, my kids had spring break this month. And it was my PMS week again. It was the week leading before my cycle. For me, that's my PMS week where I feel the most kind of like frustrated and need alone time and just down, don't feel like doing anything. It also happened in February when we were traveling to visit our family. It also happened around Christmas break when my kids were home for 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks even. It also happened during Thanksgiving break. They had a whole week off and it was my PMS week. And I'm like, why is this happening to me? Why is it lining up when my kids are home? And why I'm saying that is not, I love my kids. It's just when I'm going through that week, I just need extra alone time to decompress, to just like be by myself. And it doesn't really happen, right? When your kids are home. And even though I have quiet time with my kids in the afternoon, they don't always give me that time. But what happened is that I had to go to the doctor appointment with all 4 kids. I had a follow-up and it was on their spring break. And I thought, okay, I'll just schedule it. I did not realize it's my PMS week. 2 of my boys were not listening at all to me at the appointment. I think I made like 50 corrections trying to get them to cooperate and just like not touch things and not mess around. And I was literally about to have a breakdown. I was like tearing up in the office when the nurse was just taking all the measurements and stuff because I was getting so overwhelmed. My tone with my kids was not nice. I was really, really, really struggling. And it was just like, I just did not do well. I did not do well. By the time we got in the car, I was just like, no one make a peep. Like, I just can't. I had to go stop by at the Russian store because we were going to somebody's house the next day and we were supposed to bring something. So I ended up I actually had a tablet with me. I ended up just having the kids watch something in the car. I grabbed them some candy in the store just so they would like not ask me for food or snacks or anything and stay quiet in the car for the rest of the ride. And on the ride back, I turn on my worship playlist and I just listened to the words and I started singing along. It's interesting when you are sad. I heard this quote one time and I'm like, it's so true. When you are sad, you are listening to the words of the song. When you are happy, you listen to the melody of the song. And I'm like, that makes so much sense. I do listen to the lyrics when I am sad because that's what you just relate with, right? And so I did that and I ended up just like singing out loud, and it took me a little while, but after several songs of worship, by the time we got home, I felt much better. I ended up buying something at the Russian store where I could some dumplings that I was able to just boil for my kids. We had lunch. I put the baby down for a nap. I told the boys they can watch stuff. They have a tablet and the TV, so I monitored what they were watching, what they chose to watch, and then I just told them, unless you're dying, do not bother me. I have to take a nap. And so I ended up just napping for a couple hours while my daughter was napping. And honestly, that is what I needed in that moment. Yes, I could have done work. Yes, I could have connected with my kids and played with them. I was just not in a place to do that. It was hard. And the reason it was hard, it was the weekend of the time change. My daughter was teething and she did not sleep well. And then I had PMS and I went to the doctor with 4 kids. Everything just like piled up all at once. I also ended up having a really bad dream that same night before the appointment, so that kept me up in the middle of the night for a few hours that I couldn't sleep. So sleep deprivation, PMS, no alone time, going to the doctor with 4 kids. It was just like all at once. I'm like, why does this happen? I feel like every month there's like an incident where everything just piles up at once. I ended up just taking a nap and I honestly felt so much better afterwards and just took it easy for the rest of the evening. Cooked something that was like mac and cheese for the kids, something that was just easy and simple that did not take much brain work from me or time and energy. Okay, so I don't know about your kids, but my kids always complain. They always complain when it comes to dinner. I feel like I still cannot figure out a single meal that everyone is happy about, that every family member in my family enjoys and is happy about. No matter what I make, someone is not a fan of it and will complain about it. Sometimes they'll eat it, but they will complain about it. I don't know. Do you have a problem like this? Because this is like a story of my life. I have 6 people in my family trying to figure out something that everybody enjoys. So I just end up rotating things. And sometimes my kids just go to bed hungry because they chose not to eat dinner. And I tell them, I'm not a restaurant. It's okay that you don't like what I made. You can either choose to eat it or you can just choose to be hungry. And I'm not going to just let you have cereal or another peanut butter and jelly sandwich because we're not doing this every single night. And that's kind of like how it goes in our family. Maybe not the best approach, but this is the way I handle it, just because
I don't want to create even more extra stress for myself. The other thing is I went to a ladies' event at church. It was like a spring tea thing. I did already do an episode talking more into depth about it, and I will link it in the show notes. It is episode 117, and it's all about a stealer of our joy. And I talked about comparison and about homeschooling moms and how I compared myself with other homeschooling moms and feeling like I'm not good enough. And just how I had to process that and like talk myself out of it and reminding myself that I'm doing my best. That's enough. I'm the best mom for my kids. Like, this is what works for a family. So if you want to know more about kind of like the mindset that I had to like talk myself out of it and things that you can do to help yourself when you feel jealous and you compare yourself with other moms where you feel like you are failing and you're not good enough, that would be a great episode to listen to. And I'll link that in the show notes, episode 117. Okay, my friend, this is kind of a recap of March for me and my family. All right, friend, I'm going to hop off here, but I want to remind you again in the show notes, my flash sale is ending on April 10th. And if you are feeling overwhelmed, burnout, and you feel like you're drowning in motherhood and you're reacting to your days, this course is for you, Emotionally Healthy Mom course. I'll see you in there.
Hey mama, do you find yourself snapping over the smallest things, like spilled milk or constant whining, then feeling horrible afterwards? If you're tired of losing your temper and you want to show up with more patience, I have something for you. It's a free training called How to Be More Patient with Your Kids so you're not screaming over spilled milk. Inside, I'll walk you through 10 simple things you can start doing today to become a calmer, more Christ-like mom, even on the hard days. To get it for free, just leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and send a screenshot to hello@emotionallyhealthylegacy.com. Or if you'd rather skip the wait, you can grab it right now for just $27. The link is in the show notes. Let's help you become the peaceful, patient mom your kids need.